as close to 7 o'clock as possible. I see that we have a number of the applicants with us tonight, so that's good. And being a Zoom meeting, there will be roll call votes on this. And I see, is Amy, I'm just trying to see if Amy is logged in yet. Okay, I don't see Amy and Ashley from Town Hall in here with us yet, but we've still got a couple minutes to go. Do we have somebody for 10 Homeward Lane here? Just raise your hand if you're here from 10 Homeward. Okay, great. And I see Phil Mackey's here for the downtown, right? I see Phil's here. Yep. And do we have somebody for 180 Stone Street? Okay, great. Mr. Lemos. And how about for Frontier Drive?
Hi, we're here.
Okay, great. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not 4, we're 32. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I thought you meant 432.
No, you're correct.
Yeah.
For number 32 Frontier Drive. Yes.
I understood what you said. She corrected me. So
that's okay. We're all learning how this goes right now. And finally, do we have somebody from 4 Deborah Drive?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, great. Okay. And let me just see, we have our board members. We've got Jane Coffey. We've got Suzanne Murphy, Drew Delaney, Bob Fitzgerald, and me. So we'll get going in one, or just a So I'm just looking for Ashley Clark and Amy. Oh, Amy's here. Okay. Amy, is Ashley going to be joining us?
Hi, so Ashley will not be joining us tonight.
Okay. Then, Amy, are you ready to go for the minutes?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay. So although it says Jake Lee, that's my son. I don't know why I'm John Lee. He was using the computer earlier for something. So, okay, we're going to do these in order that they appeared on the agenda, so you can budget your time accordingly. So the first one we have is for 4 Deborah Drive, and this is a variance request. I'm going to have to recuse myself for this one because the property abuts the land owned by the Norfolk County Agricultural High School. So I've already talked to Suzanne Murphy, so she's going to chair this part of the meeting, but I'll be here. I'm just going to be on mute. Okay, Suzanne?
Yep, all set.
Okay.
All right, this is respect to the property. This is a public hearing. An application from a Giuseppe Petruzziello. Case 20-22, respect to the property located at 4 Deborah Drive, Walpole, Mass. Zoning District R. It's an application for a variance under section 6B13 of the zoning bylaws to allow the construction of a 24 by 33 detached garage in the rear of the lot with a 15-foot setback with 30 is required. And who do we have for this?
I'm the owner of the property, Giuseppe
Okay.
Pedrucciello.
Okay. And do you want to tell us? It's a variance, so that's, you have a high bar here.
Well, the thing is, there is a drain easement going through my property. So I wouldn't need a variance if I could put the garage where I wanted. Because of the drain variance, I had to move it closer to the back of the lot, but it's still 15 feet away. So the only reason why the garage is where it is because of the drain variance the town has going through my lot.
And I'm trying to see, I have to put on my light. Looks like the easement is 38 feet away from the proposed garage?
Yeah,
Sorry. All right. So it could be moved.
well, no, it cannot be moved because then it will be too close to the side of the property. And I cannot build it on near the easement in case you need to dig it up. The drain. This is where it is now is where it has to stay because of that easement. I wanted the garage closer to the driveway, but because of the easement, I can't put it there. If you can, I don't know if you have the as-built. Do you have the as-built? Yep, that's it. See,
Why
that's
can't-
where the foundation is right now.
You already put the foundation in?
That's right.
Why?
Because although I need a variance for a 24 by 32, I don't need a variance for a 24 by 24.
Why did you put in something that you needed a variance for before you had the variance?
I don't need I talked to the inspector. I don't need a variance to put the foundation in. I need a variance to put the building that size up. I can put a smaller building up without a variance.
Okay. All right,
So
so
I'm here to get a
so you
variance.
just said that. That's not a good argument for your variance, by the way.
Why?
Now, because if you can do a smaller building, then you should do a smaller building
No.
instead of stretching the
Smaller
lot.
A smaller building is insufficient. The building size I need is 24 by 32, and I could have built a 24 by 32 if it wasn't for the easement.
What about an attached garage?
What about an attached garage? I can't do an attached garage because back there, I would have to move the water line because the water line passes through the back of the house. I would have to move the AC. I would have to move the chimney. There's a lot of stuff to move over there at the back of the house.
What about on the Deborah Drive side of the house?
The septic system is there. I can't do anything there. I've tried every spot.
Okay, I'll just back off for a minute and let anybody else. Does anybody else have anybody from the board have any questions?
I did have a question sort of along the lines of what you were mentioning, Suzanne. On the plan, it looks like if you rotated the structure to be parallel with the rear lot line, you would pick up, without moving it closer to the easement, but you would basically rotate it, I don't know how many degrees that would be, but you would pick up a lot of additional rear yard space there. I'm just wondering if you looked at that or...
Yeah, the plan was done by an engineer, so he knew what the issues were, and he says this is the only place you could put the garage. Without,
Why is that?
because it would be too close, either it would be too close to the side property or it would be too close to the easement. So when you dig the foundation, you have to dig the foundation bigger than it actually is. Okay, so if we move the garage close to the easement, we might have hit the easement.
What is the size of the foundation you put up, sir?
24 by 32.
I have a question. How you doing, David Emerson?
Good.
Did you
Go ahead, David.
did you submit plans for that foundation and get a permit?
Yes, I have a permit. I passed and it even signed off on the permit after the foundation was done.
Do I have, did you submit that to us?
Yes, it's on the website. It was inspected. It was inspected before it was poured, and it was inspected after it was poured.
So on the permit, it says foundation only, 22 by 24, but you just said you put in a what size foundation?
24 by 32.
Which is not what the residential building.
So that building permit's not good for us.
Okay, but I don't have to put the building that size. I can make the size smaller. I can do a cement slab any size I want. I mean, I don't need a special permit to make the slab is a certain size. It's the building that's we need the variance for, the size of the building, because the foundation's ground level. It doesn't block anything. If I did my driveway all the way up to the edge of the lot, I can do that. Whether the driveway is cement or it's asphalt, I can go right to the edge of the lot with the driveway. Same as the foundation. The foundation doesn't protrude out of the ground. It's on the ground.
I think that's correct in that it's not a structure per se.
Yeah, it's not structured, it's not blocking
building.
anything, and people are not looking at it. It's not obtrusive, just like a driveway.
But it was built at risk that you wouldn't get the variance that you
Definitely.
are applying for now. That's just the reality of it. So
Yes, and that's why I said, even if I don't get the variance, I'll have to build this smaller on top of that foundation, which is fine. I would have the foundation extruding in front of which is not a problem. It's not ideal.
how would you, are you planning to extend the driveway up to the
No,
garage?
it's gonna stay dirt. It's gonna stay dirt, the driveway up to the garage.
Drew, you got anything?
Is there any letters from town engineer or anything?
I'm looking through here. Yeah, I got one from Kyle.
Okay,
He offers these comments. I'll read them.
thank you.
There is no existing or proposed topography, proposed grading, proposed utilities, or proposed driveway shown on the site plan. Therefore, we cannot comment on these items. Any grading or improvements within the drainage easement must not interfere with the use of the municipal drain line. The board could impose a condition stating that no regrading is approved unless a grading plan is provided to the building inspector and or approved by the DPW and engineering. Number two, if the applicant places improvements within the easement, driveway, i.e. driving landscaping, the improvements are at risk if the town ever needs to access the pipe and perform maintenance. If the garage is served by utilities, this should occur outside the easement. Number three, if the proposed building is served by muni water, where muni water and municipal sewer is not available up here, then the Board of Health should be notified as well as DPW and water and sewer. This office recognizes the existing municipal drain easement limits options for what appears to be a reasonable use and supports the applicant's relief for request. And that's from Kyle Baldoff. I don't think I have anything from, this is from a woman at Martin McManus at 6 Deborah said he's okay. And Bob at 4 Deborah. Good luck with your building. He seems to be okay. Wear a mask at the meeting. That was nice of him. And that's all we have for information.
Yeah, so that easement scared me. That's why I tried to stay away from it. See, I didn't want it, if anything ever happens, they would have to dig that up. So we can't be too close to it with anything. And I didn't change the grade of the backyard or anything.
And we don't even see the grade of the backyard. I didn't drive up and look in your backyard today. What is the grade?
Well, it's a little higher than the rest of the yard. You can't see the backyard from the street. You can't even see the garage from the street. You would actually have to pull into my yard to see it.
How many feet is it from the present foundation that you put in ahead of time to the municipal easement?
Well, to the lot, it's 38 to the front of the lot. So I would say half of that.
It looks about that, yeah.
Yeah, half of that.
I just would feel better if it was moved down towards the easement more myself.
Well, that's the thing. The easement is a problem if they ever have to get to it. If they ever have to dig that out, you can't just dig where the easement is. You have to dig around it, you know,
And you say you can't move it any closer to the house at all for...
No, I spoke to the engineer, and plus there's a water line. It's not marked here, but it's marked on another plan. The water line that comes from the street goes between my foundation and the house foundation. Goes between the two foundations, so I can't dig there unless I remove the water line. That's another step, you know, to relocate the water line.
Suzanne, I have
Jane.
You referenced how far, or asked how far the building was from the easement. And Mr. Pizzolo, is it?
Joe, you can call me Joe.
Okay, Joe. Joe, you crucified his name, Suzanne, I'll tell you that.
I did. I'm being an Irishman, I'm not good at this.
Okay, you asked how close it was to the easement, and he commented that if there were a problem with the easement, the town would have to dig around it as opposed to just to that one spot. And I want to know, if the town, worst case scenario, you put the garage there, we would approve it. If there was a problem with the easement, would it be necessary for them to take down your garage? I mean, how close would it be if they had to dig around at the easement? How close would it be to this garage?
Well, like I said, if you look at the plan, it looks like maybe half the distance of 38 feet. So there's plenty of room around it. They wouldn't have to touch my garage. If I had it closer to the easement, they might have to touch the garage. But as you see on the plan, it's only halfway through. So what's half of 38? It's, I'm good with math, right?
Okay, so no, I
went to Walpole High.
Yeah. So, I mean, there should be plenty of room there to do what they needed to do, even if they had to replace the whole drain. You know, there's plenty of room there. That's why I'm 14 feet away from the back. If I came to 25 feet away like it was supposed to, I would be right near the easement, right next to it. And that would have been a problem if anything ever happened to it. Not a problem now, but only if something happened to it.
And what if you were to move it further back, as Suzanne has suggested?
Further back to then it would be a lot less than 14 feet from the property line. You know, further back would just move it closer to the property line. It wouldn't benefit the easement in any way because there's plenty of room now on the easement. It wouldn't be, you know what I mean? What would you gain in the front? Only you're just killing more room in the back.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I have mixed feelings on this because the idea of a variance is very high, the bar. And it's this case where an applicant comes and there's no other way the applicant can do whatever he or she is asking for. And it's something of necessity. And you have said that you could make it smaller, and that if they had to come and dig up the easement, if you were to get it, they had to come and dig up the easement. It wouldn't come on your property. So I look at it this way.
No. If they come and dig up the easement, they have to come through my property. They have to dig up my driveway, dig up the whole property.
Would they have to dig up your garage? No.
No,
Okay.
No, but wait.
not in
if
this
they-
current position, not in this current position, no.
Okay, well, one other comment I want to make is, because it is so high a bar here, I look at it like, if you're coming before us, and if we approve this, it means that anybody else in the town of Walpole could come before us and say, I want to put up a barn. I put up something smaller, but I would really like a barn. If you get the drift of what I'm trying to
No,
say.
because somebody else wouldn't have an easement and they wouldn't need a variance. If I didn't have an easement through my yard, I wouldn't need a variance. I could even put up an even bigger barn, an even bigger garage than that. I'm limited to this size because of the easement. That's the only thing limiting me.
What if you pulled it forward?
No, your square footage limits you.
No. I can put up a building 24 by 32 if I didn't have the easement. I would have moved the garage closer to the, closer to the middle of the yard, and I wouldn't need a variance in any way. The only reason why I need a variance is because of this easement. That's the only reason why we're here. If the town came tomorrow and removed the easement, then I wouldn't need a variance.
Bob?
So the easement is 20 feet wide because that's the town's, determination that they need that much space should they need to go in there and dig it up.
Correct.
The pipeline itself is not 20 feet, and so they wouldn't be going beyond the boundary. They don't have the rights to go beyond the boundaries of the easement area.
Okay.
So you it just looks to me on the plan like you could move it all the way up, right up to the line of the easement, and
At least closer to
the
the
town wouldn't
yes.
have the rights under the easement to tear up your garage. I mean, that it's
Exactly.
not within the easement area, so they have no rights beyond that line. So
Okay, if I moved it that way, you see the 38 feet? What is this? What is the distance to the side?
It would be more than 14.
No, I think you need more than 24 from the side. You need 24 from the back.
I think you need 30.
I thought it was 32.
Mm.
I don't mean 32, but I'm agreeing with you on 30.
So
30 also, yeah.
I have a question. Joe, as it relates to the actual building, is it gonna be used for, like, are you gonna park a car in there? And
yeah, it's a garage to park cars, that's right.
okay. And workshop meaning just like,
Just normal, home stuff, nothing, it's not commercial in any way, no. If that's the question.
Is it going to be
Just
water,
for a car.
water and heat?
No water and heat, just there was a shed there. I tore down a shed that was there, and instead of building a shed, I built a garage.
Joe, the property line that you're asking for the variance on, that's do you have high tension wires behind your house?
Yes, I do.
And the utility was notified that that's where you're trying to reduce
Yes, I'm
that
pretty
setback?
far. Yeah, I'm pretty far from
So it sounds like you want to be. It sounds like you want to be 14 feet from the transmission lines.
Well,
I know.
there's two properties before me, before I get to the power lines. You can see the power lines from the house, but I don't think it abuts the power lines.
And I noticed you notified them on the abutters list, but
Yes,
um,
they've never.
they're not. There's no representation of them at this meeting, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I don't think they have any issue with it.
Well, I guess that's TBD, but
Yeah.
If I may make,
is the real reason that you don't want to move the garage up closer to the easement to comply with the rear yard setback because you already have the foundation put in?
Well, yeah, the foundation is in. There's no way to move it up. It's there. That's what's there is there. I mean, I can't, there's no way to move it up. But I've talked to the engineer that did this drawing, and he says this is the best place to put it. We're staying away from the easement and the back sets. He said, you just gotta get a variance because of the 14 feet. We're talking 10 feet off here.
Suzanne,
And I gotta tell you, where it's 14 feet, we're talking woods. We're not talking somebody who lives there. We're talking all woods. You know, so it's not like I'm bothering anybody back there.
how many?
Jane?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I'm looking here at the comment you made on that there were 4 people living there, and they each have a car, an additional car, a motorcycle, and a work van. That's 7 vehicles. You say your driveway looks like a used car lot. I get that. How many vehicles are you going to be able to put in this garage?
Well, at least 2 or 4. Well, there's 2, and then you got the lawnmower. Remember there was a shed there. So whatever I used to have there in the shed is out of the shed now. So it's gonna go back into the garage. Lawnmower, lawn equipment, and all stuff like that too is gonna go in there. So there's gonna be at least 2 cars, maybe 4. 2 cars and a motorcycle. Let's put it that way.
Suzanne, how many cars are you allowed to have by right? In any
3.
one?
3, I think. At this house, actually 2.
So now we're trying to make accommodations for 7.
What do you mean? How many cars are you allowed to have? So if there's 4 people in the house, you can't have 4 cars?
Yeah.
Really?
Single family dwelling.
I don't know that you'd fit more than maybe 1, maybe 2 cars in that garage.
Yeah, you're not fitting 4 cars in that garage.
The garage door is only 8 feet wide. That section of the garage is about 20 feet long. Back the stairs out of it, I mean, it's only maybe 16 feet. Just maneuverability alone, you wouldn't fit probably more than 1 car in there.
Well, I figured probably 2 cars.
Maybe.
And you have 2 garages now already, right?
That's right. They're attached to the house.
Under.
Yeah, under the house.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't know, I'm really torn myself. I really think it should be moved.
It can't be moved. It's not going. It's a foundation. It cannot be moved.
But you already put the foundation in.
Yeah, the foundation is in. Don't forget, I was out of work. I needed something to do, and that's what I did. And I asked the inspector if I can put the foundation. He said, yeah, you can put the foundation, but the building is the one you're going to need a variance for.
So you, in essence, put that in at risk of not getting a variance. Well,
At risk of not getting a variance, knowing that if I didn't get a variance, I would have to make it smaller. That's the thing. I would have to make it smaller. And it wouldn't look right on that foundation. But if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. And if I can't build a building, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna put tents all over the house to put my stuff in. I gotta do something.
well, I'm torn. I hear your concern, but on the other hand, you've indicated you could use a smaller garage. That still doesn't address the question that you're going to have 7 vehicles on this property. You've got 2 garages now. You want a 3rd one. I mean,
Well, don't forget, it's not just a garage, it's also a shed. I got rid of the shed that was there. It's also a storage area. It's also for lawnmowers and lawn equipment and whatever.
but I think the basic problem is you have too many things that you have to, hear me out. Because I looked at the pictures and I have them right in front of you, your neighbors. They all have houses similar to yours.
Mhm.
Now, they all have a garage and they obviously have some place to put their rake and their lawnmower and snow blower. What I'm saying is here, you have so much that it's hard for me to see relief, because that sets a precedent for everybody else in town who wants to put something with 7 vehicles. And I can think of one place now, right on East Street, the far end of East Street. couple came before us. They had like a small ranch, and they wanted to put a garage off the back. And I don't remember the circumstances, but I do remember that it was going to be bigger than the house. And so we as a board decided no. Well, I've gone by there since then, and by right, they could put a building in the back on the lot. They didn't have to come before us. They put a garage with 2 stories that's bigger than the house they're living in. So what I'm saying is, I feel hard put.
Okay, but what's not being translated here is that 24 by 32, I don't need a variance for that. I could have put that up and I wouldn't have to bother you people, right? But you have an easement going through my property, so I can't do that. The reason why we're here is because of the easement going through my property. Not because my garage is 24 by 32. It's because the easement is going through my property. That's why we're here. Not the size of my garage. It's because I had to put the garage where it's at, because of the easement. Let's not lose the easement part, because I'm not here asking for something that somebody else may ask for, because they don't have an easement going through their yard. I do. My neighbor doesn't have an easement. He can put this garage without coming to you.
Joe, when did they put the easement in?
Before I bought the house.
Well, then I think you
But we
answered.
knew, you knew.
Okay, but
Like-
I'm not
like-
saying that. That's
Like,
what I'm saying is the reason why we're doing this because of the easement.
Joe.
That's what I'm saying.
that's actually not true. Like Bob, I believe it was Bob that said the 20-foot easement is set in a way that the town already predetermines the amount of space that they would need to access whatever utility would be under that property. So that being said, you have approximately half of the 38 square feet in the front, so you could move it closer. So you could be right on, you could be 21 feet off of it, and they would still have access to that 20-foot easement to dig up the utility and get whatever they need to without disturbing the garage.
Agreed.
I agree.
So what are you asking me to do? Not build the garage? Is that what you're asking? What are you asking?
I feel it should be closer to the easement line.
Well, it can't be done because there's a foundation there. That's no way that can be done.
If I could just, the difficulty we have as a board is that we don't have a lot of discretion when it comes to a variance. The standard is extremely stringent, and it's not that, we're taking a position whether you should or shouldn't have a garage. We're just trying to apply the requirements of the bylaw and the variance. And so one of the principles that you kind of undermines a request for a variance is that if you create the hardship yourself, you can't rely on that as a grounds for saying that there's undue hardship. So in this case, you built the foundation as you're allowed to do with the building permit. But you can't now say that, well, I already built the foundation, so you have to give me the variance. That's not legally supportable, and the board can't issue you a variance on that basis. It has
I
to
understand.
be.
I'm not asking you to do a variance
No,
because
I
already
understand.
did the foundation. I'm asking for the variance because of the drain. That's why I put the
No,
foundation there.
understood. So, but I think the plan shows that you have room to move it towards the easement without actually overlapping the easement. And the issue of having, it's unfortunate that the foundation is in, but that's not a reason that we can use to grant you the variance. So I think if you could move it towards the easement area, and I know you're saying that you can't, but on the plan there's at least, it looks 14, 15 feet of space before you would
14,
encroach
15
on the
feet of
easement.
space, so move it too close to and it would still need a variance, so move it too close to the side of the property line, right? Because you need 30 feet.
Well,
Even if I move it 8 feet forward, would still need an easement, I'm sorry, it was still not enough space to the back of the property. So even if I move it to the drain, to the easement, it's still not enough room. You still would need I would have to move it on top of it, further back on top of it.
Well, the side, I believe the side yard requirement is 25 feet.
25.
So where you're showing 38 feet and change, that you could go all the way down to 25 feet at that dimension and still be in compliance and not require a variance.
Yep.
I don't know, I mean, the other option is you can gain some space back there. I don't know if you can see this, but anyway, this isn't gonna.
I'm looking at it here, so.
But no, but if you wrote, I can't really show it.
Oh, you redrew it?
Well, no, if you, you see how the lot line angles at where the point of the building is that there, the foundation is 14 feet, 6 inches, 0.06. If you rotated the foundation so that the back part of the foundation was parallel to that lot line, you would pick up, maybe another 10 feet of rear yard there without really moving the front of the building that much closer to the easement line. So it strikes me that there's a different footprint that might work for you, but I can't.
Okay, but the footprint that you're looking at would, okay, the reason why it's here, it's lined up with the front of the house, if you can see it the way it is. So it would look aesthetically pleasing. What you're doing is gonna turn it into a separate, it's not gonna look aesthetically pleasing by spinning the garage. Like the house will be turned one way, the garage will be turned the other way. But that's fine, Also, you should take under consideration that behind my house is all woods. It's not that we're bothering people. Or if anybody complains or anything, it's all woods. It's not really hurting anyone by putting the garage there.
Can you tell me where the water line is from your house?
The water
Is it
going
near
to the
that
house?
chimney?
The water going to the house?
You said there was a water line, and that's why
Yes,
you.
water, yeah, town water. So it's coming from where you see where it says pole on the street. It says pole on the street on Deborah Drive. It says pole. It comes along the driveway, and then goes between the house and the garage, underneath the patio and underneath the deck. That's where the water line is. So it starts from the Deborah Drive. It goes along the driveway between the two property, along the driveway, and that goes exactly in the middle of the foundation and the house. And then goes to the back of the house under the deck. I know because I had to dig it there a few years ago because we had a leak.
I think you need to show us exactly where the water line is. First of all, I think we should continue. I'm definitely not ready to vote on this. I don't know if anyone else is ready.
I'm not ready either.
Bob?
No, I mean, I think I'm not convinced.
I don't want to deny, because then he's 2 years, I think we need to work on it more. What we usually do, Joe, when we have these, we have a person that wants to put something on them. We have to exhaust every inch of your property to make sure it can't go anywhere else. Well, we have, between the 5 of us, have found a few other areas where it can go. It can go closer to the line. So I mean, that's what we do in all our cases. We exhaust any other location on your property.
Would it make you feel better if you came out to look at it? I mean, so you can see what's going on, so you can see the situation, and you can see the land, how it is, and what's behind the house, so you get a better idea of what we're doing.
I would feel better if there was more on the plan, like showing me the water line. I still think it can be moved.
Another plan that I submitted from the town, there should be a water line. Let me just look over here. There's a plan that came from the town.
Well, I still think we need to move this along, and I need to look at it more myself. Maybe we can do a road trip. If we did it separately, we wouldn't have to have it posted.
I would be happy to do that. I was just thinking I'd be happy to go and look at it. But if the numbers stay the same, everything stays the same. And that's what we have an issue with.
Right.
You, in order to be cooperative, have agreed, you could do something lesser than this. So I certainly would be willing to go out and take a look. And I certainly agree and understand the dilemma you're in. But I think, yes, I'd like to come out and take a look at it, and I agree with Suzanne. I'd like to see what you submitted is fine, but I would like to see the same thing that Suzanne's asking for. And
More detail.
Yeah, and I'd also like to see some of the suggestions that have been made to you tonight relative to moving this where it may be more viable, easier for you to do it as opposed to bagging the whole thing. If you could get whoever did the plans, to put on paper what it would look like if 2 or 3 different things, and then we'd have an opportunity. We would have seen it. We would see on paper what it was look like when you're making the argument, and it's a perfectly reasonable argument. The reasons that you can't do 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd like to see that on paper, so that at least we have something to look at. Do you understand what I'm saying? I agree with Suzanne. I don't want to say no to this project. I don't want you to be stuck with it.
I don't want you to say no. I want everybody to say yes right now.
No. But we can give Amy, like, where I would like to see it. I can send her a rendition of where I would like it. Bob has a rendition in front of him of where he feels it can be rotated. Maybe if you went into the office and met with Amy, you could take this back to your engineer.
That's a good idea.
And just review them.
Okay, for me to build another foundation, it wouldn't be very cost efficient for me, and I wouldn't be able to build the garage. So moving the foundation itself is out of the question. I would just not do it. I would just leave the foundation there and put tents on it and put my stuff in tents. I mean, there's no way that I would be able to afford to build another foundation. So moving the foundation is out of the question, or I would have to build a smaller garage. But I don't know if I would spend the money to build a smaller garage at that point. I don't know if it would be cost efficient.
All right, so you feel you don't want to continue it and work on it?
I do want to do whatever it takes, except I cannot build another foundation. I cannot spend the money to build another foundation. If you ask me stuff to do reasonably that doesn't cost a lot of money, I can do that, no problem. But to build another foundation, it cost me $25,000 to do this one, and I did the excavation myself, so it's impossible for me to do it again.
So then we're kind of at a stalemate, Joe, I think, because
that we are.
Because if you're unwilling to move the foundation to a place that would organically, if you will, eliminate your rear yard setback of 15 feet to have you be able to do it by right, then there's not really a lot to work on.
Okay, so in other words, you're gonna.
That just stuck.
So if I can't move the
Joe,
foundation, you'll deny it.
your rear yard is being called the 135-foot line there, where the 14 feet meets that, right? If you move that building closer to your house, you would still be off the side yard 34 and potentially get to a place. I don't know, because this map doesn't show the dimensions between the foundation and your house. But if you could move that 16 feet closer to your house, you would still be off the 20-foot easement, off the side yard, and off the rear yard.
Yeah, the reason why is because of the water line, which is not there, which is not on the plan. It's on the town plan.
Water lines exist under foundations and properties all over the place.
Yeah, I would have to move it though, because I would have to dig that far.
But don't you have to add, okay.
You know what I mean?
So your water line goes past your house into your yard?
Yeah, it goes exactly between the foundation and the house and twists in the back of the deck and goes into the house.
So it wraps around the house and comes into the back of the house?
That's right, because there used to be a well there. And I don't know if any of you remember, there used to be a gas station that leaked, and I guess the gas station had to pay to have water brought to all the houses here. So what they did is use the well line and started from where the pole is and goes straight down the driveway between the two foundations and the back of the house.
Okay, kids, so what do we want to do here? We got to move this along. We have a person that's said that they will not move the foundation. That's the foundation they're going with. I'm not happy where the location is. I don't know if you guys just want to vote or if we want to
If I
continue
move
it.
the foundation, then I wouldn't need a variance. I mean, this would be moot, right? The reason why I need a variance is because the foundation is there.
Yeah.
So you're telling me, no matter what, you're not gonna give me a variance, just move the foundation. That's what you're telling me already. It's not
Yeah.
like,
That's what I feel. I don't know about anybody else, but yeah,
We're saying you wouldn't need a variance if you did it
Correct.
right.
yeah, I wouldn't need it, so it wouldn't be moot, you know what I mean? You're just telling me, no, we're not gonna give you one no matter what. So if you wanna move the foundation, you move it. That's what it is.
Well, you know, I can echo the concerns of Dave and Suzanne as well as Bob. I feel very badly that if we turn this down tonight, because I think you've kind of tied our hands here. You know, we've made suggestions. We're willing to put it off so you can pursue those. And you're adamantly refusing to do anything other than what you're gonna do. And so it kind of ties our hands. And that, I have to be perfectly honest with you, Joe, makes me feel very uncomfortable. And it makes me, I don't know, but right now, with the argument that you're presenting, that no matter what, you're not willing to look at anything or consider anything. And we've said as a board, we go and visit, and if you will do the other options, but you're closing your own case here by saying, if I don't get it tonight and everybody doesn't say yes, then I'm all done. Am I
No,
here?
I'm not
right?
saying, I'm saying that to move the foundation is too expensive for me. There's no way I could do it. It's absolutely out of the question, because to spend another 25,000 to move the foundation is ridiculous. So I would rather not do it at all than to move the foundation. That's the thing.
Yeah, well,
And
that's what I'm saying.
the reason why we
Should-
move variance is because the foundation is where it is. If we move the foundation, then I wouldn't need variance. We wouldn't have this discussion at all. We're having this discussion because the foundation is there.
Because you created,
because you created the hardship.
No, the foundation is there because I had no other choice where to put it.
No, you didn't. You had a choice. Bob, do you think we should allow him to withdraw without prejudice, maybe?
And that's completely up to him. I mean, I guess I don't have enough information to conclude that there's absolutely no other place you could put the fountain.
Right.
And that's.
I think we should continue it myself and do some homework.
One other suggestion, if there is a site visit, I would recommend that the boundary of the easement be flagged so that it's crystal clear on the ground, you know, the distances between the existing foundation and the boundary of the drain easement, so that it's clear, you know, how much distance there is to play with in that direction. I just want to reiterate that legally, we can't issue a variance if you create the hardship yourself. It would be like me, it'd be like if I could only build a 10-foot tall or 15-foot tall house, and I went ahead and built a 40-foot tall house, and then I came to the board and said, well, gee, I already built it, so you got to give me the variance. Like, that's not how it works. If you build something with the expectation that you'll get a variance, you're doing that at risk, and that's just the nature of the law. It's nothing. We'd love for you to have a garage that's very functional for you and does what you need it to do, but that's not. We don't have that kind of a discretion like we might in a special permit situation. With the variance, it's very difficult for us to. We just legally can't issue a variance when you've created the hardship by sort of building a foundation and then coming and saying, well, that's the reason that I need the variance. That's just not something we can do. And then legally, I'm not saying we don't want you to have something that works, but it's just not something the board can do. So.
Yep.
Okay, again, the foundation that I built, I didn't build it so I would get the variance. It doesn't matter even if I don't get the variance, the foundation I could still use for, whatever, patio or whatever. I'm saying that the reason why the foundation is where it is because there's no other place to put it because of the drain variance. This is why I'm saying.
Okay.
That's
And
what,
Okay, so
I
shall
think
we continue the hearing, folks? What do you think?
I would suggest so to get a better argument that it can't be moved. I mean, the plan itself suggests that it could be much closer to the easement.
Right.
I would agree.
If Jane goes out and takes a look and it's flagged, then we can kind of get if we can come to that conclusion, maybe there's an argument. But I just, on its face right now, I don't see that as.
I agree.
I'd recommend continuing, unless you want us to vote now on it.
That's up to you, Joe. Would you like a continuance or a vote?
I don't know what that means. What does that mean, continuing?
Then we come back in, I think probably a month. I'm not sure when our next meeting is, but we come back. We could go and look. Jane is willing to go and look. I would like to see the water line on a plan, a more detail on the plan, and then we could come back in a month and go over it again. Unless you want to vote tonight.
No, because you made it clear that you're not gonna do it.
Believe me, you want the continuation.
Yeah, all right, let's do that. Let's continue it. And that gives me time to think about it too, to see what my other options are.
We're not looking to stop you. We just are looking for the best spot for the town. We're here to represent the town. And that's what we do.
That's
We
what I'm saying.
exhaust the
It would
property.
be a good idea if you came to look at it and you see
Yes.
where
I
it
will
is.
come up.
It's not really something that's really interfering with anything, you know what I mean? If you came to
Yep,
look
you
at
can keep in touch with Amy and we will all make appointments or whatever it's gonna take to do it. But I feel it's probably your best bet to do it that way. And have it flagged, like Bob said. I would also like the water line flagged. You could probably do that yourself.
Okay.
Just stick some
What
stakes
about
in.
the drain? Does the town flag the drain? I don't know who would flag the drain.
I think we could probably call sewer and water and ask them if they could go out there and at least put a couple of stakes in.
It's safe to assume it's probably inside the 20-foot easement.
Correct.
On your civil plan too, if you could show just some more information and have the distance between the current foundation and your house would be helpful too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I can do that. All right, yeah, so I'll get the water line, I'll get the distance, and the easement I can't flag, because I don't know, the town maybe can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think your surveyor should be able to do that.
well, I don't think the surveyor knows where the easement is, that's the town put that in, right?
I think you
Well,
can.
I guess
But it's
you
shown
could
on your
measure it
plan,
off the-
so.
You could measure it off the old foundation, okay, I'll ask him.
All right, so let's
So
Well-
do you guys want to continue until September 16th?
is that when the next one is, Amy? Thank you. Can I have a motion to continue this then?
So moved.
Second?
All right, so we will continue this and you have your homework assignment, right? You
We need to
understand
vote.
everything, Joe?
We still need to vote, Suzanne.
Yep. I'm just checking with them to make sure. And then one other question, is there anybody on here it's hard for me to do this. I've never asked an audience on my iPad. If anyone else needs to speak on this? Is there anyone out there? Is there anybody out there that wants to speak on this? I think we're all set. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. And it's to continue to September 16th at 7. And we have to do a roll call vote. Am I going with this, Bob? Okay. Bob Fitzgerald,
Aye?
Drew Delaney,
Aye.
Dave Anderson.
Aye.
First vote, you go. Jane Coffey
Aye.
and Dan Murphy, aye. So Joe, you're September 16th at 7.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Suzanne, thank you for handling the first case of the evening. So, next one we have on the agenda is 10 Homeward Lane, and let me just pull up the legal notice for this. Got everything on the computer now, so.
Want me to read it?
No, I got it right here, Suzanne. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay. Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals, Town of Walpole, will hold a public hearing via Zoom conference on Wednesday, August 19th at 7 p.m. on an application of Lucas Ledger, case number 2023, with respect to property located at 10 Homewood Lane, Walpole, zoning district R. Application is for a special permit under section 5B2 of the zoning bylaws to allow the removal of a garage structure while keeping the foundation and making it into a crawl space while adding a 3-car garage and an in-law suite. Application can be reviewed at the Office of the Board of Appeals. So I believe we have the applicant, Mr. Ledger. How are you this evening? How are you? Okay, I can see you. And we have all the plans in front of us. Are there any neighbors to speak on this case or anybody else? Okay, so the way we normally do this, Lucas, is we ask you to walk us through. We have the plans in front of us, and if you can tell us what you're proposing and how that's going to work.
I'm not hearing him.
Okay. I think you're on mute.
Oh, there he goes. He got the help.
Still not hearing you. I've got a bunch of school kids around that always help me, so.
I know.
It doesn't show that you're muted, but
No.
we're not hearing you. Like that doesn't show, at least on my end. I don't see the microphone with the X through it. So I'm not sure if it's your headset or.
Can you hear us, Lucas?
Yeah, he can hear us. Wow.
Lucas, if you're using a headset, you may want to use the speakers on the computer if possible. That could be adding to your problem.
If I could ask just one quick question, Suzanne, it seemed to me that the woman in the middle here appeared to have raised her hand. Is she a neighbor that wanted to speak and we missed it, or did I miss something?
Was that me? No, I'm the existing homeowner of 10 Homeward.
Oh,
Oh,
Sorry.
hey, you might want to speak.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe.
Nope.
Okay, the other thing that you can do, Mr. Ledger, is to log off and try to come back on if that's the only other thing I can think, because we are going to move on to the other cases that we have, and we can come back to you. But unless we can hear you explain the project, I don't think that's going to work right now. So if you want to work on the technical end for you, we're going to be here for a bit more. So you might want to try that. Okay. So we did open the public hearing, and we're not going to close it. We're going to come back to it tonight. Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Okay. So next one that we have, going down the list, Phil Mackey, 979 Main Street. How are you this evening, Mr. Mackey?
Not bad, yourself?
Remember, I'm stepping on.
Okay, that's right. Suzanne had to recuse herself on this one. Okay, let's, and Mr. Mackey, I did receive the whole packet of information from you. So if you want, let me read the legal notice. somebody have the legal notice right handy?
Do you want me to read it?
I got it.
If you have it right there, I'm just having to pull it up, but yeah, if you have it, that's good.
I've got it here too. Go ahead, Amy.
Notice is hereby given, the Board of Appeals of the Town of Walpole will hold a public hearing via Zoom conference on Wednesday, August 19th at 7 p.m. on an application from, I'm in the wrong one, hold on. I was still in the old one. From Bill Mackey with the property related to 979 Main Street, case number 2026, zoning district CBD, for a special permit under 8.4C of the zoning bylaws to allow less than the minimum parking requirement, 1 space per unit where 2 are required, as shown on the plan submitted with the application as may be amended. This application may be viewed at the office of the Board of Appeals.
Okay, so thank you, Amy. And we do have the plans online and everything. Suzanne, you're not on mute. We could hear you in the background. So if, Phil, do you want to walk us through what's being proposed and we can follow along with the plans?
Sure thing. I guess we're all getting used to this. I think this is the first time I'm actually presenting via this medium. So I have a memorandum, which of course I can't hand you tonight, but I will go down the list and then figure out with Ashley and Amy how to properly get it over to the town. But basically I'm going to walk you through the elements of the special permit. Also online with me is Sean Murphy, the principal of JKM Property, who owns the building. And he'll tell you a little bit more about his business and plans for the building as well, with your permission. So to begin with, the locus is entirely within the CBD. It's actually about as smack dab in the middle of the CBD as you can get. You can see on the plans, it's the corner of Glenwood, Main, and West. I think there's actually School Street across the way, or Stone rather, excuse me. So it's at the main intersection in the middle of town. The previous use was the Bank of America having bought out bunch of other different banks. I think it actually started off as either Norfolk County or Bay Bank way back. But nonetheless, it is a bank building purchased last fall out of auction. Of significance, years back, the parking lot actually was owned by the bank, which deeded it to the town. I can't tell you how or why that happened, but what transpired and came in out of or by way of the deeds was that the lot has the benefit of an easement of 8 parking spaces in what is otherwise the town parking lot. I also believe the condominiums across the lot, if you will, the big G building, also have rights to certain spots, but we didn't really go into their title. So what you have is an existing building with an easement for the use of 8 dedicated spots. Back when the bank was still there, if you remember, you pull into the lot and those spots all had signs, bank use only. The applicant is proposing to build up, if you will. Currently, the bank has a basement level, a ground level, and a mezzanine, which effectively is on the 2nd floor. The proposal is to build out the 2nd floor entirely and then put 2 other floors on top of that. So we'll be adding 2 floors of height. As far as the zoning goes, I know this is one of Carl's comments, and on the plans you currently have, we don't have a proposed column. There is no change to lot area, no change to frontage, no change to either of the building impervious areas or the setbacks. The height is allowed for 52 feet, and obviously we will change this on the plans pursuant to Carl's comments, so you don't have to just take my word for it. But the building itself is expected to be about 47 feet tall, so we are under the height limit of the CBD. what we're asking for this evening as far as relief is actually determination under the parking bylaw it's actually, section 8.4C, wherein you are allowed to make a grant of a special permit for less than the required parking. In the CBD, interestingly enough, and I guess actually it's not just there because it's the parking chart itself, the requirement for parking is tied to units, not bedrooms. So by right, we have 8 spots, and as a result, simple math dictates, even though I also went to Walpole High, I think we can get 4 units by right. The reason we're here is we would prefer to have more units with fewer bedrooms than fewer units with more bedrooms. And that's actually the crux of the entire argument. But to go through the criteria itself, the very first criteria under 2A is that it needs to be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the bylaw. The CBD, as I'm sure you're aware, is to provide, I'm quoting out of the bylaw itself, for a center of business activity accessible to pedestrian travel, provide a center for municipal culture activities, act as a landmark and symbol of the town. We believe the redevelopment of this space will repurpose the existing bank space, if you will, and the plans we've shown. Granted, these were developed last fall. The world has changed significantly, but the plan still remains to turn the first floor and the basement floor into a restaurant. And Mr. Murphy can talk a little bit more to his plan for that and why it still makes sense when we put him on. Above that, we are asking to put in 8 one-bedroom apartments. And then we'll move down because it logically goes into section 2B of the requirements. The first one is talking about vehicular and pedestrian traffic so as not to adversely affect the immediate neighborhood. If you saw fit to grant this request, we would stipulate as a condition of approval to put right in our lease that each unit is only allowed 1 car. And that would limit it to 8 cars in 8 spots. Not anything to do with parking, but I know it has come up in other discussions about apartments. The applicant has a no pets policy whatsoever in his standard operating procedure, but as we would want, and I'm sure the town would want any restrictions to follow with the property, not just the current owner, we would have no problem putting that as a stipulation as well. It has nothing to do with parking, but we're talking about, conditions, potential conditions as it is. So again, to talk about the effect to the immediate neighborhood, again, by right, we can put 4 units in. I spoke with the building department. There is no limit on bedrooms in his read of the bylaw, and I concur with him on that. And to make the building economically work, and Mr. Murphy can talk a little bit more to this as well, we would be looking at putting in 4 units with somewhere between 12 and 15 bedrooms. So it'd be a 2, couple of 3s and a 4, or some other mix. The number I gave you obviously is 12. And I would note that either way we go about this, the building itself doesn't change. We're not proposing a 4-story versus a 3-story or what have you. The shell of the building is going to look the same regardless of what the interior configuration is. You can almost think about it as we're swapping out bedrooms for kitchens. If you had a 2-bedroom unit and it becomes a 1-bedroom, effectively where you had the 2nd bedroom becomes a kitchen. So we're not saying one building is bigger than the other. Quite to the contrary, we're saying our plan for the shell doesn't really impact one way or another. So as far as then going to having a number of residents, employees, customers, or visitors, the way we envision this, if we limit, and I shouldn't say effectively, we limit the tenants to only having one car in our lease, it would actually, or we feel, probably decrease the number of cars in the parking lot. Because if we had a multi-bedroom unit with roommates or potentially a family, they may very well have more than one car. So we believe that, suitably conditioned, limiting this to one-bedroom units would actually be better for the area. As far as the dimension requirements, we believe the building itself conforms. The lot itself is a non-conforming lot, but that's a grandfathered use. Again, the lot itself doesn't change, the building doesn't change, so we don't believe that any variance is required or addressing the non-conformance of the lot itself. As far as not being dangerous through fire, explosion, etc., and I'll lump this in with noise, vibration, dust, or other nuisance. We don't believe that reducing the number of cars, parking spots required in that lot is going to have any negative impact with regards to those two. As far as the character of the neighborhood, we actually think that limiting this building to one-bedroom units is more in conformance with what's in the neighborhood being constructed and generally designed. When we discussed this with the building department, again, not just positive, but they felt that one-bedroom units that are catering to either single folks or a couple is much more in line with what the central business district is going towards, as opposed to a multi-roommate or a family situation. Obviously, we would have to and intend to comply with any fair housing laws or whatever, so we wouldn't discriminate against tenants. That's not allowed. But we've also provided you with architectural plans. If you looked at the size of the units, they just don't lend themselves to having multiple people there. They're fairly small, and it's done to, self-select, if you will, the people who want to live here. As far as not being incompatible with the purpose of the zoning bylaw or the zoning district, we would again say that the section 8.1 of the bylaw talks about the intent of parking provisions is to encourage the balance between pedestrian-oriented development and necessary car storage. We would note, and again, it's not binding on the board, but looking at the complex directly adjacent to it, they were designed to have 1.22, across the streets, 1.39 spaces per unit. But if you look at the bedroom count, they only have 0.84 spaces per unit. If you go down to the train station, they were designed to be at 1.22 spaces per unit. But again, if you look at the bedroom count, they're at 0.81. So while we would have a lower ratio of spaces per unit, we would actually have a higher ratio of spaces per bedroom. So I don't think that, or let me rephrase that in the affirmative, I think that taking those kind of calculus into account, that this proposal certainly could be found to be compatible with the district and the area. That's a fairly quick walkthrough of the elements of the special permit. With your permission, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Murphy so he can give you a little bit more flavor as to both, it's a family business, so his family, how they operate the business. They've got other properties in Walpole, et cetera. So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like him to step in.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mackey. And sure, Sean Murphy, go ahead. Please explain what's being proposed and why you think you need a reduction of the parking requirement. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for having us. We've been anticipating this meeting for a while and are excited to be here. So thank you for getting us on the agenda. Phil, thank you for that recap. That was very good. Just a little bit of background. So I'm second generation real estate business. My father started it. We are out in Norwood. We actually all currently, so I got 2 sisters, a brother, and myself, are all in Walpole now. In fact, my brother and sister are 2 out of the 4 houses on the first block of Stone Street, just across from the bank. So they're pretty intimate of the area, as am I. My brother and I redeveloped one of those properties, and myself and my brother-in-law redeveloped the other. So 2 houses that were in pretty tough shape, we were able to bring back and hopefully bring some light to the town and some aesthetics back into that area. So as Phil said, we are a family real estate business. My father is at the helm, although he is, trying to retire, although an old real estate guy doesn't seem to ever want to let go. But he is the creator, and I am his son, the second generation, and I basically run all the day-to-day operations currently. So this property is very appealing to us for a number of reasons. One, we are very intimate to the town now. We are very involved. My entire family lives here now. We love the town, love the community. I actually worked at the Raven's Nest for 6 years and got to know a lot of the people in the town. And I've truly enjoyed all of the town has to offer. So for that reason, we wanted to, and as we have, invest our money in a town we enjoy being in. We saw this property come up. I think everyone did with the bulletin board suggesting auction last fall. We participated in the auction. We were fortunate enough to take the building down. We have part of the plan was to put a restaurant in the first floor. Again, I think the world has changed in a direction that no one anticipated. Especially, a restaurant industry has certainly been truly impacted negatively. However, we're not out of the ground with a shovel or anything, so we still feel strong that this is a very vibrant restaurant location, and we feel adding the residential, a mixed-use property really benefits the flow of the town, if you will. It gets people on their feet, walking to other restaurants, walking to the train, kind of involved in the community. We again, as Phil mentioned, by right, we have the ability to build 4 units with, certainly there's going to be a limit to bedroom count, but nothing by code. And that's kind of not the angle we wanted to do. We can certainly make the economics work that way, but our feeling was, I'm not sure we really want 4 just out of college kids, loud partying, or, a big family. Nothing against that. We are a big family, so we appreciate that. But I think the idea was, let's get some transient oriented, residents, people that, are, a single person that is jumping on the train, going into the city, or, maybe works from home 3 days a week and goes in 2 days, something along the lines of that. Or even, somebody that just wants, a couple that, kids have moved out, no longer live in the house. They want to downsize, but they still want to be in Walpole. They want to get closer to the town, have their dinner and cocktails over at the Raven's Nest and be able to walk home type of demographic. So the idea was let's try to shrink the units. They're roughly average around 700 square feet with a open living room concept, bedroom, bathroom, laundry, and unit. And you know, let's not try to stuff as many bedrooms in there to make the economics work. Let's make a project that kind of fits the area and fits the you know, the flow of the town, and what makes sense being right next to a train station. You know, and again, we're pretty intimate to the area specifically, given the fact that my brother and sister both live a stone throw away from this building. So we certainly we're mindful of that. So again, I think, you know, we try to design a building that stays with the aesthetics of what the bank was. And Phil, correct me, I think it was the Walpole Trust Company was the first bank in there, way back.
You are correct, yes.
So, you know, we want to kind of capture and keep that. And then as the building grows on the 2 stories we add, we're going to try to step it back. So it, you know, so it doesn't look like a straight tower, and it has some aesthetic and appeal from the road, with a portion of it kind of slanted as you drive north on Main Street. So, you know, it's certainly a proposed aesthetic. It's not the 100%, but I think it's something that, you know, we thought fit the area. So again, you know, we're very local. We're very intimate to the immediate area. We're a small family business. You know, it's myself, my father, and then the brothers and sisters when we need the extra hands. We're all in the town. We enjoy the town. We want to invest in this town. I got 2 young children myself that, you know, I plan on bringing up in this town, and happy to be here. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Murphy. So really what it's coming down to is it's section 8.4C and the parking requirements in the central business district. I guess the way I look at it is there is, as you both have said, a lot of activity that's taking place with the new construction, and parking is a premium. It's going to be probably something that we're all having to deal with. I've got some concerns. A restaurant, first off, not concerned that a restaurant's going there. I think that's great. I think that's a good use for the property. The apartments in there, and you know, not meeting the parking requirements, that means that burden's going to fall on somebody else in the area. So I think this is, at least in my opinion, a big concern. Other board members, what are your thoughts on this?
Mr. Chairman, I had a question about, I believe Mr. Mackey mentioned that the lot is non-conforming and legally non-conforming. And I'm curious about whether, just your views about whether a special permit's required under section 9. Let's see, section 9.5, subsection 5 of.
It's actually
9.5B.
Yeah.
Where it talks about there's an exception for 1-family and 2-family dwellings not being deemed a non-conforming building based solely on the lot's deficiency in area or frontage, blah, blah, blah. And then the final sentence says, in all other cases, the change, extension, or alteration of a building on a non-conforming lot shall require a special permit. So I just wanted to hear you on that to see whether that's required or not.
We don't believe so. When I discussed this with the zoning enforcement officer, it was his opinion that all we needed was the parking. The building itself isn't changing. The footprint of the building isn't changing. The lot isn't changing. So he didn't see the need, and I'm certainly not going to argue that.
Well, I guess, Mr. Chairman, I just have a concern about that, because I think it strikes me that the intent of that provision was to basically not treat a building as legally as non-conforming, only if it's a 1 or 2 family dwelling. But anyway, I don't want to dwell on that point, but I understand that the zoning enforcement officer took a certain position on that, and I guess I'd like to understand that a little better myself.
I'll be happy to discuss it with him further and report back.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a good point, Bob, to bring that up. But as far as what are other people's views on the parking situation, or what's your thoughts on that? Because that's really what the issue before us tonight is.
I mean, my view is the parking. I think the move lately has been, particularly in downtown areas, town centers, to try to require less parking, provided we're not creating a headache where people are, as you say, spilling over and trying to park in other people's spots. So I don't have a problem with there being a request for fewer parking spaces here, particularly if the applicant is proposing 8, 1-bedroom units. I think that a 1-to-1 parking ratio there seems to make sense to me. Particularly, it's located close to the train and other transit areas. So I don't have a problem with that. I don't know if there's a associated parking requirement for the commercial space that's proposed, but there's a lot of there's parking not just behind this building, but on the opposite side as well, behind the fire station. And there's a big parking field there that people could use to walk across the street. So I guess in general, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Ron?
Go ahead, Jay.
I would agree with Bob. I really don't see a problem with this. I think 1 unit for 1 car, that seems reasonable to me. And as far as the business that may be on the first floor, I don't think that every business up and down Main Street in Walpole has a designated parking for patrons of that particular business. And I do agree that there's parking on the street, and there is also that main parking lot, which is not very far. I mean, you just walk across the street. So I'm inclined to agree with Bob and look favorably upon this.
Okay. Drew?
I guess I was just curious, do you have any intentions or plans to any sort of upgrades to that parking area to the back, or are really all your alterations going to be focused mainly on the building? You're on mute.
I'll jump on part of it and then Sean can fill in the rest. As far as the lot itself, like I indicated before, we have an easement for 8 spots. As far as doing anything to the lot itself, that's the town's property. So our improvements pretty much end at the lot line, which is what we own and are authorized. But Sean can discuss, because I think he is going to try and make the building itself look better and therefore the area.
Okay. And Dave, any questions or comments for the applicant?
I think Sean was trying to speak there, but was on mute.
Sean, do you want to go ahead?
Sorry about that. I'm not sure how that went on mute. No, I was gonna say the same thing as Phil, but I think people forget about that parking lot, myself included. There's actually, I think, 92 spaces back there that I think gets lost sometimes when people talk about the public parking in the center.
Okay. And Dave, any questions or comments for the applicant?
No, 1-for-1 parking seems pretty reasonable to me for 1-bedroom units.
Okay. Are there any other people at the this Zoom meeting to comment on this application for reduction in the parking requirement? Okay. So, yeah, it seems like most of the board members are in favor of this. I still have my concerns. I go through the center twice a day, usually, well, when we used to all work, and, or we used to drive to work. And I know parking is definitely, it's a concern of mine. And I think that the bylaw exists to make sure there is sufficient parking for these units. And a lot of these one bedrooms, you can expect to have, you know, 1 to 2 people in them at least. Let's just take a look at the plans. Do you have any loft areas in these, or in these units? It's sort of hard to tell. Are they strictly 1 bedroom and a living room, or what? We talking dens in here, or what else do we have?
Yeah, no, they're 1 bedrooms with an open kitchen to living room concept.
Okay, so no lofts, no dens. That supports your case, I would say, at least with me.
Yeah, like you mean like a study or like an extra bonus room in the unit type of thing?
Yep.
Yeah, no. There it's kitchen, living room, kind of one configuration with a bathroom and bedroom off of that.
Okay. One question: why is the building, the addition part, not squared with the existing building? It's sort of it's offset.
Yeah, that was me and my architect and I going back and forth on aesthetics. He's in the city. There's a building in the city that looks just like what we're doing, that did this design. I said keep it for now. It certainly doesn't have to. It can be squared off. It was to pick up the angle of the traffic coming down Main Street. So again, you know, design versus function.
Okay.
John, if I may, I realize that the parking is an issue downtown. But you look at all the surrounding towns, they have the same issue. Norwood has the same issue, but they can go down behind. Dedham has the same. Dedham is a consummate development. They've given everything within, I think, maybe 50 feet. I'm exaggerating. Dedham is now becoming a condo, and I know for a fact that one of the latest ones that went in, regardless of how many bedrooms you have, there is just 1 assigned parking. Beyond that, you have to go to a lot, which is not far from where these buildings are. So I kind of hate to think that we turn down something where somebody's going to put 1 bedroom units as opposed to somebody else coming down the road that wants to squeeze in any more and make the parking worse than it would be now. I understand the issue with the parking, but I think every town has it. And I don't know, I just think that this is the scale down of what we could be facing, particularly where we've had these other projects. I don't know about you, but people have complained to me about these other 2 projects we had there. Nobody came forward to speak up when we passed on them, and so be it. That was fine. But somehow I feel as though this applicant here is thinking about the town and what could be as opposed to what he would propose there. I guess that's where I'm coming from.
Okay. I think everybody's made some good points. And is there anybody else have any comments on this at this time?
Just to follow up on Jane's point there, are the parking lots that are the subject to the parking easement, are they designated spots, or are they, in other words, like if a resident were to park there, they'd be able to park 24 hours a day, but are the other public parking spaces limited in time and that sort of thing? And is there signage to that effect?
Bob, I honestly don't know about the rest of the lot that the town regulates. I know at one point they were trying to put up some 2-hour signs to alleviate the problems of out-of-town commuters using the public lot as the MBTA lot. As far as the 8 spots, those are delineated on a plan that was attached to the deed. And I think we have signage acknowledging or identifying them currently. Certainly, if this gets approved, it will be much more specific, as these 8 spots are for the tenants. And that's it.
Yeah, Phil, there are signs for 2-hour parking on the public portion of it.
Thanks.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a couple conditions that the applicant said that they would put forward on this, and that is that now, was it that the tenants would be limited to 1 car? That's what
Right. We would make a condition of the lease that each unit, regardless of the number of occupants, is only allowed 1 car.
Okay. Okay. So, Amy, that would be condition 1. The other one would be second condition: no dogs at these units. Although I like dogs. But I think that's not fair to a dog to have no place to go outside. Was there anything else on this that people wanted to add in for conditions? Okay. Any other? That's it? No other conditions? Okay. And so it will be 8 units. As far as the restaurant capacity, Phil, are we talking about any of that tonight, or does that take a?
No, we actually don't need to. The CBD has a parking exemption for the first floor commercial. I think Mary Jane went into it in pretty good detail. Basically, everything that's a public spot is regulated by the town, and kind of first come, first serve as far as who wants to eat where.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, I'm glad to see the building, something being done with it, because I think downtown Walpole's going to have a lot of activity in a good way, I hope. So those 2 conditions, and any other just the standard conditions, Amy, that we would have for a decision. And so it will be 8 1-bedroom units at 979 Main Street. Okay, unless there's anything else at the request of the applicant, do you want to close the hearing?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. So the applicant requests to close the hearing. This is just to vote on closing the hearing. It will be could I have a motion to close the hearing, please?
So moved.
Moved by Jane.
Second.
Second by Drew Delaney. Okay, any further discussion on just closing the hearing? All those in favor? Okay, roll call vote for closing the hearing. Jane Coffey.
Aye.
Bob Fitzgerald.
If I could, we discussed briefly the zoning enforcement officer's, interpretation that a special permit for expanding a building on a non-conforming lot was not required. I guess I know that the applicant's not applying for that special permit, so we're not voting on it. I just want to note for the record that that we're not granting that relief.
Okay, then that would be the 3rd condition, and we haven't even made that motion yet, but Amy, if you would note, 3rd condition is a note that this is not dealing with the non-conforming nature of the property. Bob, does that satisfy what you're looking for?
Well, I don't know that we need a condition to that effect, because the request hasn't been made for that approval, and I guess in the normal course, the zoning enforcement officer is going to look at the building permit application and decide at that point whether additional relief is needed. But I guess I just noted my concerns that the zoning enforcement officer should probably take a look at that section. I don't know if we want to do that before closing the hearing or not. That's my only comment.
I think what would happen is, because what they've done is they've advertised just for relief under section 84C. If that is an issue, they're going to have to come back before us on that issue. So I would sort of just like to deal with this tonight, but I don't mind putting a note someplace that, we can follow up with the building inspector to make sure that they have looked at that aspect of it. What would you prefer? Do you want it in?
No, that's fine. If you want to, we can vote to close the hearing on the application that's before us, so that's fine.
Okay. So Bob, you are now voting in favor.
Yeah, sorry. That was my additional discussion before voting.
Okay. Drew Delaney.
Aye.
And Dave Anderson.
Aye.
Okay, and John Lee votes aye. And that's just to close the hearing. Okay, Amy, you have the decision to grant the relief under section 8.4C and allow one parking spot per unit, with the condition that the tenants will have one car and no dogs. Those are two different points. You good with that, Amy? Amy, did you get all that?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm just
Okay.
on mute.
Okay. So could I have a motion to the effect of what was just proposed?
So moved.
Okay, motion moved by Jane Coffey. Could I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, second by Drew Delaney. And Dave Anderson, you'll be voting on this one also. Okay, roll call vote. All those in favor, Jane Coffey.
Aye.
Bob Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Drew Delaney.
Aye.
Dave Anderson.
Aye.
And John Lee opposed. But the motion carries. It carries. Okay. That's it for 979 Main Street. Moving on to the next case.
Just checking to see if you guys can hear me now.
Okay. Yes. Yep. Mr. Lucas, right? Or,
Yep. Yeah, I switched to my wife's account.
yeah. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to come back to you because actually we're going to take the cases. We're just going down in order. 180 Stone Street is the applicant here for 180 Stone Street.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Lemos. Okay. Can somebody read the legal notice if you have it near you, in front of you?
All right, I have it.
Okay, Jane, thank you.
Got it, Jane?
The public hearing will start at 7 o'clock in the evening on Wednesday with August 19th. Case number 20-27, Alan Lemos of 180 Stone Street is seeking a special permit under section 5B2 of the zoning bylaws to allow a construction of a two-story, two-car garage addition with an in-law suite to an owner-occupied single-family dwelling.
Okay, thank you, Jane. At this time, as people pull up their plans or look at their plans, Alan, you want to walk us through what you're proposing and why you need this relief? Thank you.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Thanks for allowing us to speak on behalf of the owner. I'm the architect who got hired to put this together for the property owners, Carl and Faith Cummings. This is a typical single-family dwelling, GR district, general residence. Typical minimum required lot of 15,000 square feet. That's the size of the lot. And the project is very simple. The family has had a need for a two-car garage, and the need to expand on their living areas for an in-law, a member of a family. In this case, the mother of the Mr. Cummings. So we were retained by the owner to propose this addition, which consists basically of, as read on the notice, a two-story car garage with a room above, and in the back of that room, it's basically a 750 square feet in-law apartment consisting of an open floor plan with a dining room, well, I would say a knit-in kitchen, and living room all in the same area, a bedroom and bathroom, sort of a master suite, and a little separate entrance in the front facade of the building. It's covered by a front porch, which also encompasses the existing front entrance of the building currently, which is a sort of a secondary entrance to the building. So we just basically extended that porch to just cover that front entrance, just to allow some coverage there for, tough weather when we have it. So that'll allow the entrance, the front entrance to the building, to that in-law apartment. And there's also a rear egress at the same level, but at the rear, at the kitchen area. At the top level, we have basically an additional bedroom, which is connected to the second floor sleeping quarters, basically, which will assist, with that bathroom condition for the main dwellers of that property, basically. And there's also basically a bonus room with and inside that bonus room, the owners later decided to just have a bedroom put in there, a small guest bedroom as well. And, it does this project basically, as far as I could read and go through the zoning bylaws, at a brief conversation with the building inspector, seems to comply with all the guidelines proposed by the zoning bylaws in terms of the accessory dwelling units. We feel that this is, the facade was pretty well designed, and it continues to look like a single family as the guidelines propose. We're within all the setbacks of the district, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Not too complicated of a project. We just wanted to seek the approval of the board for the special permit to grant this in-law apartment for this family, so they can have their mother living with them.
Okay. Interesting that you use the term in-law apartment, because the bylaw talks about an in-law suite. One of the things that we look at is how does this tie into the existing house so it does not become a separate apartment. So can you walk us through the plans? I'm particularly looking at page 7 of the plans. How is this connected to the house so that it is part of the existing house and not a standalone apartment?
Let me just pull up the plans here. Sorry.
Okay. As he does that, do any other board members have questions that maybe we can discuss or he can answer before that?
I need to, is there one of these sheets that shows our percentages of square footage? Does anybody see that yet?
There is, let me see, I believe, if it's not in that plan set, I could probably tell you, because I'm looking at one of my plan sets that have
Okay.
percentages. We usually have a thing of putting FAR calculations just because other jurisdictions ask for it, so I can probably tell you. But the apartment itself, just taking the area of the rear, it's about 753 square feet. And then I can tell you in a moment what the total square footage of the house is.
What's the garage square footage? Oh, the garage is new also.
The garage is also new, yeah.
Right, I need that square footage too,
Okay.
please.
Absolutely. Let me get that for you. So let me get that for you 1 second. So from the exterior walls, I mean, if just the garage alone, if you will, that would be approximately 670, rounding up, it's about 668.39 square feet, the garage itself, the two-car garage. And then basically beyond that is just the apartment back there, or the suite. And then you have basically that hallway that connects the two dwellings. Okay, now, Mr. Lee, as to your question that you asked previously, one of the things that would limit this separation, as it relates to being a separate dwelling, entirely, that I believe this has to do more with the building code than anything else, because the building at that level, the building code would require fire separation between the units, which would classify this as a two-family at that point. And that would be something, at least in my view as an architect, it would be something that the building department would have jurisdiction over. And that would have to, at least in my world, we would have to create fire separation between all levels that would touch each other, floors, any partitions that would touch either of the dwellings. So you couldn't, by law, transform this into a two-family unless you went through the proper channels, and that would mean create fire separation, rated assemblies between these two units, just by, unless you did it illegally, at which point I can't control it, or nobody could.
I think that's a good point about the fire code on that. But what I wanted to see is, the bylaw talks about having the in-law suite as part of the existing home. And what I'm looking at is, and that's why I want you to walk us through it.
Sure.
Is there a door? I think it's around, it looks like there's a door that just shuts off the whole place. D1-7 maybe, or, so what, near the existing fireplace.
Correct.
So, yeah. So how is this part of the existing house and not a separate dwelling that's being created without the fire protection that you just described as required?
Well, if you look at that's just a regular partition interior door. It's not even an exterior door. If you look at the door schedules, that's not even supposed to be an exterior door. That's just an interior door that doesn't have any weather stripping around it or anything. That's just supposed to be an interior door, just really for privacy, so that mother can feel a sense of privacy while she's in there. They have kids, they actually just have a newborn, so it's just a way to keep the newborn away from from invading their the mother space. She's 70 years old, so it's just a little bit of privacy. That's the intent of that door. So the little kid, they have other kids, so that was the only intent of that door. No, by no means was intended to create like an intentional separation for to suggest a different kind of use or anything. But and as you can see, there is a corridor right there, right beyond the door. And I guess a better example of the connectivity of this is that this garage is for the use and of the main dwellers, which is Mr. Carl and Miss Faith, which will be using this garage in the same hallway that'll be used from by their mother to walk into that unit. So it's a common hallway that basically gives access to both. So they're going to be commingling and cohabitating the same hallway. So it's not like they wouldn't cross paths at all the time coming in and out of they're going to have to go through this hallway, and it's open to, if you look at it, mother would have access to their kitchen just by walking down this hallway, going up a set of 4 steps and being at their hallway right there, at their foyer. So it's basically that door just prevents the kids from having access to grandmother's place without being invited. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or concerns about this?
I have a question on why the construction's already underway before you have approval.
Oh, good question.
Yeah, damn good question.
We discussed this with the building inspector. Due to the scheduling and financing from the owners, they had to get started with this. So the building inspector, once we found out that this needed a special permit, the owners agreed at their own risk that if they could not have the kitchen, which in the view of the building inspector, that would categorize the in-law apartment would be the installation of the kitchen. So I had to submit a plan that would exclude that kitchen in order to obtain the building permit. So the owners at their own risk understood that in case this board saw fit to deny the application for the special permit, they would just have to share a kitchen with their mother, and therefore not have the in-law apartment. They could still have, obviously by right, this would just be a suite, a master suite with the laundry, but no kitchen. But they would have to share a kitchen. So the intention now, obviously, is to seek for this special permit so that she could have her own place, so she could cook her own meals and be a little bit independent from the family, and have a secluded place from all the noise from the children, and feel a little privacy. But the owners understood that would be a possibility of, in case it got denied, they would live with the idea of just having a place without a kitchen. And that was a condition that was suggested and encouraged by the building inspector, and the owners agreed at their own risk that would be a possibility.
Okay.
So contrary to the previous applicant, which I heard the story, we're not trying to force anything upon the board. We understand our risks, and we knew, that they just needed to get started because of the situation the mother does need to live in, and whether or not a kitchen would be possible. They saw that, second best option was to just have a place for her to move in anyway, even if it had to be just a bedroom with, with a little living room. That would be sufficient.
Okay.
I have another one.
Yeah, Suzanne, go ahead.
When did you go before conservation?
I didn't personally do that. This was an engineering firm, GLM, that took care of this. I want to say that they went before conservation. I want to say the beginning of this year, they got their okay.
And do we have that information? I don't have it in front of me.
I probably have. I can give you. I can probably pull it up in my computer.
Because you got all swamp behind you.
Okay, so Suzanne,
Yes.
I do know that they have an order of conditions from conservation with
Correct. Yeah, it was all approved.
order of conditions number. So
It's not
Conservation,
expired. I just didn't know what the date was. I had no idea.
No, correct. It was just approved just at the beginning of the year, so we're all in check with that. Yeah, everything else was cleared. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a good point, Suzanne. But I did see in the paperwork that they have a notice of intent filing number. So.
But I that's all we know. We don't know if it's for the old dwelling or if it's just a garage or we don't know.
Okay, actually, I'm going to ask Amy because she might be able to shed a little information on this. Amy, do you know where that stands with conservation?
Yep, they're good. So Landis looked over this and they were just approved and closed and issued an order of conditions in June. So,
Okay.
and it's for everything legitimate. They're good to go for conservation.
Okay. I just didn't see it in front of me. That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you want, I can email you the
That's good.
order of conditions.
It's good. I know the area behind there pretty well. It's a little bit wet.
It is. You are correct.
Yes.
Is
A
there
little swampy.
is there a plot plan included in your application?
I did submit one. I don't know if you guys are looking at it, but we did submit one. Yeah.
And parking is not going to be a concern because I don't see. I don't
We
see
have
the
enough parking near, yeah, we do have, I mean, even if we were to have, even if we had to meet, parking, I did look at it's, I guess it's 2 per dwelling. If that was considered a separate dwelling, yeah, we have enough parking for probably more than 6 cars in that. It's just a very large, driveway if you look at it on the plot plan.
Where is that plot plan? I guess I'm just.
I don't know if you guys have, I can't show it to you, right, from,
I might be able to show you.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Does
Yep.
that help?
Yep.
Can you see it?
As long as someone's seeing it, yeah, that works great.
yeah, as right there, as you get off the street, you have this, you take a left, right, and all that, like if you were to park cars right inside of that, sort of a little offset parking to the left, that's
Yeah.
existing parking. We didn't have to touch any of that driveway. It's just existing because the addition is going to the left, so we're not touching the driveway anyway in any manner, but it does fit a lot of cars, plus the 2-car garage, obviously, that would count as offset off-street parking.
And just the building height, I don't think you have, I'm looking at the plans. It gives you the top attic is 20 feet, but it doesn't show you the ridge of the building from grade.
I can give you that. It seemed that was approved by the building department, but I can probably give you that right now as well.
It would mostly be on the side that you have the garage proposed.
Yeah, probably the highest point of the measuring here, and again, I'm measuring on my plans. I do everything in 3D, so this is probably very true. So to the first floor, I've got about 26.6 to the ridge, and then the grade is probably pretty flat. You probably got another 1.5 feet, so probably you're averaging around 28 feet altogether. If you were to do an average grade around the foundation, you're probably looking at about 28 altogether, or a little less. I know they go around to every 10 feet measuring from the foundation to the to grade, or from the first floor to grade. So you probably get a good 27.6, I would say, on an average grade.
So one of the things that I'm always concerned about, and I think the other board members know this, is that we're not creating, apartment units. And I think that I'd love it if that door was removed, but I think that where the common area for both dwellings is that hallway, I feel a little bit more comfortable with this. Still don't, be great if it flowed into it without the door, but I also understand grandmother does not want, kids maybe loves the kids, but not
Not that much.
not all day long.
And I mean, we're totally, I mean, if you want to put a note that it must be an interior door, I mean, so that, you know, I mean, we're totally comfortable. It's really for the purpose of just keeping, you know, the kids out. That's all. There was no intention whatsoever to create an apartment, you know, for rental or anything like that. That's purely for family use.
Okay.
And by the way, does your bylaw, and I'm sorry, this is just a question. Most jurisdictions that we work with limit the use to the current owner, and I think the use does die with the transfer title. Am I correct? Yes. Okay, good. So that's, I guess, another.
It becomes an enforcement issue, and one of the things I tell everybody, it's not about the people appearing before us.
It's the ones after.
I take what you say. I take it for what you know. We take your word. It's somebody 25 years down the road that, you know, says, "Hey, look what I can do," and
gotcha.
That's where it becomes an enforcement issue, and it's difficult on the neighborhood. So
right.
So, Amy, I would like the standard conditions, and just add that the door, I guess it's by the entry door from the hallway into the in-law suite is an interior door. If we could just add that. And Alan, you know that no separate utilities. It's and this is recorded as a deed. You know, it's recorded attached to the deed. So.
Correct.
Okay, and I think that protects the homeowners, town, and the neighbors. So, okay.
Absolutely.
Anybody have anything else to say on this?
Yeah, I just want to clarify that point about that it does get recorded, and so if the property were to transfer, the obligation to maintain that as an in-law unit would persist. But if you, the future owner would have to either take the kitchen out or whatever if they didn't want it for that purpose. But it doesn't disappear when they change ownership. I just wanted you to be clear about that.
Oh, it does not disappear. Oh, okay.
No, it
okay.
Runs with the property.
Oh, runs with the property in Walpole. Okay. Okay.
And that's why we're concerned.
You're concerned. I see. I understand now.
Down the road, and not the current applicants, not you. What happens down the road, and that's okay because then it becomes enforcement.
Right.
Okay. So I'm good with that. So anybody else?
I think we're good.
And okay.
Yeah.
Good. Mr. Lemus, unless are there any neighbors here to speak on this? Okay. Mr. Lemus, do you want to close the hearing?
Yes, please.
Okay. At the request of the applicant, could I have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Suzanne.
Second.
Second by Jane. Okay. Any further discussion? And this is just to close the hearing. Roll call vote to close the hearing. Jane Coffey.
Aye.
Bob Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Drew Delaney.
Aye.
Suzanne Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
And I'm John Lee. Aye to close the hearing. Okay. We've done a number of in-law suites. Amy, you've got the wording and the only standard conditions, and then the only other thing that we said we would add for this one is the door located into the unit from the common hallway would be an interior door. Does anybody have any other conditions they want to add on?
No.
Okay. Okay. Could I have that as a motion?
So, want me to read it?
No. Just say.
Oh, so moved.
So moved by Suzanne. Second by Jane. Amy, you got that?
Yep, I'm good.
Good. Okay. Okay, roll call vote. Say if in favor, say aye. Jane Coffey.
Aye.
Bob Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Drew Delaney.
Aye.
Suzanne Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
And I'm John Lee. Aye. So congratulations, it passes, and good luck with the project.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank
night,
you,
guys.
Mr.
Thank you.
Lemos.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Moving on to the next one for tonight. 32 Frontier Drive. This is also in-law suite. And is the applicant still with us?
We are here.
Okay, sorry for the long night.
This is interesting to us. We don't do
Welcome
this.
to our world.
I gotta tell you, we are very impressed with what we're watching. This is impressive. So,
I'll also
you guys are dedicated. I gotta tell you.
So just for the record, this is the first we've taken on these cases because we do want to try to move them along. We thought these were not going to be complicated cases. I was proven wrong with the first case, but you know, we're trying to do what's right for the people in town to have a public hearing, but also make sure that we also move things along for people. So that being said, does somebody have the legal notice? Because I'm going to have to switch computers.
I have it.
Okay.
It's the case of Mary and Daniel Olohan. Did I say it right?
That's right.
Okay. Case 2028, respect to the property located at 32 Frontier Drive on Walpole. It's in a zoning district R. It's an application for a special permit under section 5B2 of the zoning bylaws to allow an accessory in-law suite with a livable building size of 1,133 square feet, which is 20.6% of the existing livable building size. The application may be viewed at the BOA. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne. And if Danielle and Mary, if you would, do you want to walk us through what's being proposed as we pull up plans or do whatever we have to do here?
Absolutely. First, I'm not an architect. I'm just the owner, so I will do my best. But you do have the plans. It's a one-story in-law suite for Mary's mom, who is currently living in one of the kids' bedrooms. And so I am really excited if we could get Mimi over, right, to her space. So that, and it is similar to what I heard from the other in-law suite. It has a kitchen, a living room, kind of open area there. In the back, a bedroom and a bathroom. And I heard what you were saying about the connection to the home. And it's kind of the way it's been designed is it's behind the house, behind where our garage is, because there's a pool behind the house on the other side behind the house. And so the connection to the house is into the family room through like a sunroom. If you see that, the connection to bring it to the back of the house, to connect it, there are French doors there now next to the chimney. So the design is so that Mimi will have her own separate space connected to the family room through the sunroom. And the idea was to match the look. We have another sunroom right on the other side there to match up the style of the two and to connect the house that way. Let's see. I'm not sure. It's one story. The whole point, it was designed for Mary's parents. Mary's father died in May, which is expediting the need. And so we're actually at Mimi's house. We're selling her house here on Brown Drive right now. They've lived here for 50 years and we're trying to replicate, in a way, the living space that she has. And so
awesome.
That's what we're trying to do here. All right. And we have 8 kids. And so having her own space is kind of important. And so that's really what we're trying to accomplish. We did it with an architect do the design, and we were trying to keep the space as tight as we could for cost reasons and other reasons. Part of it is that we want to make sure it's handicapped accessible. She's 81 years old. And so, you know, she's doing just fine right now. She has some health issues. My wife, Mary, just shrugged her shoulders a little bit on that one, but she's, you know, the bathroom had to be a little bit bigger, the space will be a little bit bigger. And so that's kind of the overview. And so I don't know, I'll do my best to answer your questions on the technical side.
Okay, I think you did a good job so far. So I'm looking at the plans now. Can you walk us through, I see the sunroom. Is that, would that be a common area to both both units?
Yes. Yeah, we were doing our best. We want to connect Mimi to the kids in the house, you know what I mean? So the idea was to keep that as a common space, right? As a walkway, because the way it's designed, it's because we had to move it over because of the pool, right? But we wanted to connect it to the house as much as possible. And we wanted to make the design work with the sunroom that we have on the other side of the kitchen. So that was the design idea. And we really do want to keep it so that Mimi can sit there, right? Where we have a family room in the main house. She can sit there, the kids can as well. And the pool and the deck, you'll see there's a deck, which will be a kind of a common deck there as well, right? And so it seemed to work. That was the idea behind that.
This is sort of what at least what I hope to see for in-law suites. It's part of the house. It flows into the house. It's what the bylaw intended.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice job on this,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned. Other board members?
Mimi will be happy.
Other board members, your thoughts
Very
or comments?
Very nice. Great job.
Great, thank you.
I think it's fantastic. I just noted there was a comment from engineering on it, just about the drain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a good point. We can put that as a condition.
Condition, yeah, definitely.
The drains will, whatever you have for drains there, these will tie in, or any new drains will go into a dry well, something like that. But and we can word that because we have it right in the comments from engineering. Okay.
Oh, wait, we just had a comment from a neighbor, Sarah Khatib. She just texted in. I don't know if you saw that on the screen.
No.
Okay.
Maybe I did.
I'm sorry, my ADHD kicked in right there.
Oh, wait, I saw her, Sarah. Yeah.
On the chat feature, I think.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, looking at the chat, she wants to voice her support for the project, and she thinks you're fantastic neighbors, although the zoning board really doesn't consider that, but.
Right, I don't, we like them.
We appreciate her support for,
I like Mimi better.
it helps.
Yeah, there you go.
It helps us make a decision. Okay. Good. So, anything else? Standard conditions and the one from town engineering about the drains, but this flows nicely.
And the same with the recording, at the, yeah.
That's all required.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Daniel or Mary, do you want to close the hearing?
Yes, thank you.
No. Okay. At the request of the applicant, could I have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Suzanne.
Second.
Second by Jane. Okay, any further discussion on closing the hearing? Very good. Roll call vote. All the, if in favor, say aye. Jane Coffey.
Aye.
Bob Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Suzanne Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Drew Delaney.
Aye.
And I'm John Lee. Aye. Okay, next, the hearing is closed. Next, could I have a motion to approve the in-law suite at 32 Frontier Drive per section of the bylaw 5B2, standard conditions, and the one about the drains?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Suzanne,
Second.
second by Jane. Any further discussion on this? No neighbors here to well, we already had a comment from one neighbor, so. Okay, roll call vote, and please say aye if you are in favor of this. Jane Coffey.
Aye.
Bob Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Suzanne Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Drew Delaney.
Aye.
And I'm John Lee, aye. So, okay, motion carries. Congratulations. I think that's a really nice design, and we should use this as an example to other people that come to us for designs. Of course, it puts a lot of pressure on Mr. Legger, who's up next. So,
Oh, listen, Mimi thanks you.
We're sorry for your loss too.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Take good care of Mimi.
We will.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, moving on to the next one, and this is for 10 Homeward Lane, special permit for the in-law suite. Does somebody have the legal notice that they could read as I pull up?
Yes,
Nice.
I got it.
Okay,
This
thanks.
is the case, Lewis Ledger, is that how I say it?
Suzanne,
Yes?
I actually don't think we already read the legal notice tonight.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, I just remembered that. And so we should be good to go here. So Lucas, you're with us tonight? You good?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
We can hear
Yeah,
Oh, that's good. Sorry about that.
you. I believe you also have Karen, you have somebody else with you tonight?
Yep, the homeowner is Nicole, and then Karen is the mother of Nicole.
Okay.
She's gonna be the one's moving into the in-law suite.
Another Mimi.
Yeah.
is it really? I'll tell you, most of these seem to go with the female's relatives.
Yeah, true.
For some reason, I don't know why, but it seems.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you would, do you want to walk us through what's being proposed and take a look? We'll follow along with our set of plans.
Sure. Like I said, Karen is moving in. Karen and her husband Dennis are moving in with Nicole and Evan. Currently, Karen spends 2 or 3 days a week there already in one of the spare bedrooms, and she's been doing that since they lived in the house to help with childcare. So Dennis is retiring, so they're selling their house in Leominster to do this project. So I'll just walk you through the plans. They're looking at 1,074 square feet to the house, and then 110 square feet as like a new entryway from the garage. We're proposing to tear down the current 24 by 24 garage structure and then just reuse the foundation because it's in good condition, and just build foundations around it. That's why the foundations keep stepping back to kind of go with the setback of 25 feet to stay within it. So we tried to stay with that. It's going to have a bedroom, an office, a bathroom with laundry, and the same thing, an open living room with kitchen. And then the same thing with the previous one, the door that goes into the kind of new entryway for the house that one's just going to be a regular door also. That's about it. I don't know if you guys got any questions or concerns or whatnot. Try to keep it short.
Sorry, nope, you were good. Let's take a look at parking and also how you're going to configure the parking, because you've got the how many car garages do you have there right now?
There's currently a 2-car garage, which is paving wise, there's not much parking at all currently. They have 2 parking spaces that are kind of in the woods on the side of the driveway, because the husband of the owner is a state cop, so he has to park a cruiser and his regular car there. So currently when they do it, they'll have 3 parking spaces in the garage, and then they'll still keep 1 car in the kind of woods parking lot, and then 1 will be kind of off to the side of the garage on the pavement.
Okay.
Proposing a new driveway.
Okay, so a minimum, you can do 5, and for something like this, we'd need to have at least 4, so we're okay on that.
Yep.
Let's take a look, and my computer died, the battery ran out because we've been at this so long tonight. So somebody else have the plans that they can pull up, and or they have hard copies of them? I just want to see the configuration to make sure that it's what we've talked about before.
Yeah, we tried to leave the entryway so it's like a mudroom kind of for the house, and that way it's just to walk in and out, because Karen will be taking care of the kids at least 2 or 3 days, if not more, once the COVID thing and Nicole goes back to full-time work. She travels a lot for work, so Karen will basically be taking care of the kids, putting them in off of the bus and whatnot.
Can I have my percentages, please?
The percentages of the
The size of the existing dwelling and the size of the addition?
Yeah, the current house is 2,723 square feet. And
Really? Oh.
Yep, it's 2-story, the current house, but the addition, since it's, for elderly, it's just gonna be 1 story. So they're adding 1,074 square feet.
1,074?
Yep. Plus we're adding 110 square feet more to the house when we do it.
So the
new entryway.
existing house will be 28?
Yeah, basically, yep.
And those figures aren't including the 3-car garage?
Correct, yeah, I didn't figure that into it.
Okay.
Really, just we're adding 1 extra stall to the garage. It's just gonna face towards the road to kind of block, to make it look more like a single-family home. The entryway.
Well, I thought you were using the garage foundation for...
The garage, current foundation is basically under the living room space, is the current garage.
Right.
It's in one of the plans that's in the, because the current garage goes in, there's 2 doors there's 1 door that goes into the house and there's 1 door that goes into a porch. The current garage is right, you enter into the house through those doors. The door that's going into the house is the current door that goes into the garage right now. It's on one of the plans that I've submitted.
Just wanted to note on the staff report on it indicates that the existing structure is over 5,000 square feet per the assessor's database. And I'm not saying that's correct, but if it's not, you probably want to correct that at the assessor's office. So you said it was like 2,800, I think, 2,800 square feet.
Yep.
I think they're talking garage, Bob.
I'm not including the garage into the square footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The assessor's office probably is.
That's a 2,000 square foot garage. That seems.
I don't know. That's got to be wrong. You are right.
Anyway, it's not particularly relevant, but I just wanted to point out.
The assessor's office is including the open porch, the unfinished basement, and the garage, and all of that as gross area.
Okay.
Well, then we need to do that also.
Right. So the living area is divided in the assessors. So out of the 5,179 of the gross, the living area, according to them, is 2,723.
That's what he said.
Yeah, I just took the numbers off the assessor's report thing. That's where I got the numbers.
Okay.
I figured that would be the accurate way of doing it.
That's an awful lot of square footage, though, Bob, for porches and stuff.
It's a 2-story house that's 40 by 30, the current house with the finish. So it's a good size home to begin with.
Is there anything going above the in-law suite or the garage?
No, over the thing, it's just going to be it has stairs for just because I didn't want to do a drop down thing, but it's just going to be a open attic basically. It's going to have beams sticking out through the floor and the HVAC pipes, so it's never going to be finished or anything up there. Just simply for easier to get at for the storage. That's the only reason why there's stairs, just because I don't know if anybody's ever gone up those attic stairs. It's not real safe for elderly people to go up. It's just not safe. So they just wanted stairs. That's what they said. There'll be beams and stuff. It'd be pretty hard to finish it off later if there was somebody ever wanted to, but there's no need for the extra space, so. Okay,
so I think this is similar to the one on Stone Street, and the one condition that I'd put on here would be that the door into the in-law suite would be an interior door.
Yep.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that was what we were planning to do anyway, so it's because it's going to be going in and out of there all the day long anyway, so.
Okay. Yes. Yep. Okay. Does anybody have any other conditions? Was there anything from engineering on this one?
Let's look. I don't think so. Yeah, there is. Let's look.
Comment about the curb cut and whether the plan is to add a curb cut to accommodate the kind of semicircular drive, or whether you, I guess engineering's preference is to just use the existing curb cut, but if you want to add a curb cut, there's indicating you need to go see them to get further approval.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I'm only doing the building project. The driveway will be done by the homeowner later on, so they're aware of this, that they have to get and they have the paperwork. I already emailed the engineer over that. And I think there was another comment I had to add, erosion, which I submitted a plan today. So I'm gonna erosion control around the side and the front. I don't remember which department it was at, but I think it must have been
Engineering.
Or was it? I thought that was.
That was a different. It was a different.
It doesn't say it on the engineering. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's conservation that.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was. Yeah.
So, okay, I think that at least to me.
We should put the curb cut in conditions, though.
Okay. So, Amy, you got that with the curb cut? If they're gonna do any other curb cut, they need to, go to town engineering for curb?
Yep. Do you want the erosion controls in place as a condition as well?
Yes, just because the other, I think conservation asked about that. That's very reasonable.
Yep.
I'm looking at the plan now, and looks good. So it's really right behind the garage. I think that'll work.
Yeah, it should look good. The neighbor right behind gave a letter, and the neighbor to the right of them also, they both gave letters that they were fine with it. And the one right behind, the house is right behind, and he's the only one most impacted by it, and he was fine with it still.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anybody else here that would like to comment on it? I believe we have the new homeowner, or would?
Yeah, I'm good with it. I wouldn't be driving an hour everywhere every day.
Where is Leominster? I don't even know.
It's Central Mass.
413?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Route 2.
Yeah,
Route
Route
2.
Home of Johnny Apple.
By Lancaster.
Johnny Appleseed.
Well, welcome to town.
Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Okay, unless somebody has anything else, do you want to close the hearing?
Yes.
Okay. At the request of the applicant, closing the hearing. So,
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Thank you, Suzanne. Second, is there a second on that, please?
Jane.
Second by Jane. Okay, this is just to close the hearing. Roll call vote. Jane Coffey.
Aye.
Bob Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Suzanne Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Drew Delaney.
Aye.
And I'm John Lee, aye. That closes the hearing. Could I have a motion to approve the in-law suite at 10 Homeward Lane, case number 2023, standard conditions and erosion control per the comments from conservation and from town engineering, the
Curb cuts.
curb cut issue. Okay.
So moved.
Hold on, slow down.
Oh, I was done.
I'm not. And also, the doors to the interior will be, there will be interior doors.
Interiors.
Okay. Very good. Amy, you got that?
Yep, got it.
Okay. Could I,
Moved.
moved
So
by
moved.
Suzanne? Okay.
Second.
Second by Jane. Roll call vote. Jane Coffey.
Aye.
Bob Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Suzanne Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Drew Delaney.
Aye.
And I'm John Lee, aye. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think it's a nice project. Hopefully it works for you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, welcome to Walpole. From
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
okay,
Thanks. Have a good night.
thanks.
Good night.
Anybody have anything else? We've got one set of minutes to approve. Okay. We have minutes that Amy did from our meeting just 2 days ago on the 17th. And she did go back and add some things in, particularly some comments made by the applicant who on one of the 40B projects was questioning some stuff about board members and peer review. So Amy added those in. I was okay with the additions of those. Does anybody have anything else on those minutes?
No.
I had just one comment on the second case. There was this statement by the applicant who said, the treatment of his 40B project is unfair in comparison to the 48 cases that the board is taking substantive testimony from. And I think we should just note that the chairman, disagreed with that opinion. So because that discussion did happen, and I think we just want the board to have addressed that point, at least, to that extent.
Yep.
All right, I'll add that in.
And Amy, would you specifically add in that what I mentioned was the scale of the projects and the interest in the community of these of the projects. So
Okay.
That being said, with that addition, could I have a motion to accept the minutes of the 17th?
So moved.
By Suzanne.
Second by Jane.
Second by Jane. Okay. Roll call vote to accept the minutes. Jane Coffey.
Aye.
Bob Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Suzanne Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
And Dave, you can vote on this because you were there at the meeting. Dave Anderson.
Aye.
And Drew Delaney.
Aye.
John Lee, aye. Okay. So that's going to wrap up things for tonight. And I think what I'd like to do is later, I might reach out to you guys individually and just recap how you thought this online went and what we can do to improve it, and if we should even continue doing these. But we can take time to think about it, and we've been at this now for 2.5 hours, and we'll see what your thoughts are tomorrow or the day after.
I am sorry that first one took long, but it was.
Oh no,
it was just tough.
Yeah, variances are always.
They're tough. I said right off the start, you got a high bar, and I don't know if he understood or I don't know.
No,
I apologize for the time.
Oh, well, he gave so many mixed messages. I will do it. I could do it. I won't do it.
It's complicated. Okay, so that being said, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Suzanne.
Second by
Jane. I think you second everything tonight for.
All right, Jane, you go, girl.
We switched. I used to make the motion and shoot. Now we switched.
The rest of us just stay out of the way when it comes to this.
Okay, roll call vote to adjourn. Jane.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Dan.
Murphy, aye.
Dave.
Aye.
Drew.
Aye.
And I also agree. Good seeing everybody. I'll talk to you later. Thank you, Amy.
Thanks,
Welcome, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good night.